Plaintiff Rebecca Tieppo is an attorney who says her client created big problems by trying to do her own legal work. She's suing for $4,124 in unpaid bills. Defendant Kimberly Benson says she had to take matters into her own hands after the plaintiff fell asleep during her case.
It's case number 143 on the docket, Tieppo versus Benson.
Okay, and welcome to both of you. Let's see what we have here. The plaintiff, Ms. Tieppo, you are suing the defendant, Ms. Benson, for $4,125 for money owed. If you would explain.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, Ms. Benson, the defendant, hired me to be her attorney.
Oh, okay.
To provide her various legal services over a period of time of approximately a year. I provided those services. I went above and beyond in terms of working with her to allow her to make payments because she needed the help. And ultimately, she made a couple of very small payments, but then she just stopped payment. And I think now she thinks that because she didn't get exactly what she wants in the case, that she doesn't have to pay my legal fees. She's taking complete advantage of my generosity, and I have to pay my bills too.
Was there an initial contract signed?
Yes,
and I'm going to give you a chance to speak as well.
I have a legal services agreement. May I?
Sure. Yeah.
There you are, Judge.
And this is for regarding a criminal probation matter.
Yes, Your Honor, that was the first initial payment that I paid her for $200 for the first time I hired her for my legal services.
Oh, so you hired her for that case?
Yes, and I paid her for that, and that turned out well. So
$200 in the phone, and you were happy with the result?
Yes.
If I may, I'd like to point out the fact that when Ms. Benson first approached me, she was terrified. She was convinced that she was going to go to jail because she had violated her probation.
Yeah.
She was desperate for some help, and I wanted to help her. I told her I was going to work with her. I charged her literally practically nothing for the help, and miraculously, she didn't go to jail. That wouldn't have happened if I had not represented her.
I don't think anyone's disputing that.
Correct.
That
She did a
worked
good
out.
job at that case,
She was
yes.
happy, yeah.
Correct.
So that's all good.
Thank
We
you.
don't have an argument there.
The issue, Your Honor, is that because of her, I lost primary custody of my children. And
Well,
that's,
that comes to the second case now.
Yes.
Is there a contract to hire where you hired her for the second case?
there was no paperwork signed, but there was a verbal contract. He can vouch that he was there when I was on the phone.
And do you agree there was a verbal contract?
The contract that was signed indicates that originally I was going to represent her related to the probation matter, which I
Right.
did. But it also specifies very clearly that if there are any other matters that might be additional or unrelated, that she would still be responsible for paying. It specifies clearly what my hourly fee is, which is $2.75 an hour.
Yes, you are right. I do see this now.
But she did not specify that to me. I'm sorry.
Did you ever tell her that it would be $2.75 an hour?
Absolutely.
No, Your Honor.
But you signed it.
Yes, but I don't have the actual copy. Like, he was sitting there when the contract was signed. We met at McDonald's for that specific contract, and there was never any discussion that said that I had to pay.
You met at McDonald's?
Yeah, I met her at McDonald's.
It's my part-time office, Your Honor.
Is there a way I could look at that to see? Yeah, it doesn't, it wasn't specified that it was on there beforehand, so I don't know if it's in like 2 different colors of ink, if she wrote it afterwards, but that wasn't specified when.
Okay, there are 2 color of ink, but apparently different pens were used.
That's
But
correct.
that contract wasn't for the custody matter, which most of the money that I supposedly owe her.
You do say in your complaint, you admit that she paid you $400 initially and then made 2 $100 payments. So you do admit that you got $600.
That is not how it happened, Your Honor.
How did it happen?
I paid her $200 that he had helped me get
Yes.
to pay her for the initial probation
Yep.
violation. And then I met with her at the courthouse because the court made me file child support on my ex. So I had to hire her. I called her
Okay,
because of the...
so the only thing that is in this contract, in terms of this new case, it does say here in the contract, assuming that you saw it before you signed it, it does say in the contract, the client has retained the attorney here only for those services described in this agreement. If services are rendered that fall outside the scope of this agreement, which would be the new case, client agrees to pay for such additional services. Also, if a case proceeds to trial instead of resolving via a plea agreement, there will likely be additional costs. And that's where you put in the $275 per hour.
Yeah, which I did pay her the $400 for that separate case.
All right.
And because of the negligence done in incompetence of things filed that I've had to file myself.
You're asking to be paid money. Let's hear from you as to why you think she doesn't deserve that money, and then I'll get into other things.
The first motion that was filed from my ex is this one. Would you like to look at it?
Sure.
And all the points that were on there that were highlighted, they did grant him primary physical custody, temporary.
How many children?
3. And because of her, I ended up losing primary physical custody of my kids because there was supposed to be an objection filed
That's
within 21,
completely
within
inaccurate.
21 days.
Completely
within 21
inaccurate.
days, this objection was supposed to be filed, as well as other motions that I've had to file on my own that she did not file through the court.
Because she wouldn't, or?
Because she would not file them, because she kept saying that if she wouldn't file them unless I gave her more money. And I was like, I gave you the money that was agreed upon for this custody case, and until something is done, which the objection got sent to the judge, but was never put in front to be filed to be seen, because she didn't file it properly.
Why didn't you file it?
Your Honor, that's a complete misrepresentation.
Okay, tell me.
I don't know what she's talking about, frankly. She had previously filed some things on her own without an attorney. There had been some problems with...
No, what happened was I lost my kids because of it. That's why we're here.
Excuse me. What had happened was that she had filed them improperly.
But that was supposed to be your job.
You don't always know. No, this is before I came into the picture.
I never had to file any motions before you came into the picture because he filed this motion is why I had to hire you. And then I had to file every single one of these by myself.
What date did you hire her on the second case to be the attorney?
That would be July. I filed this motion. It had to have been before July 27th of 2018.
Of 18?
Yes.
All right. And this motion, which is your handwriting, which you filed?
Yes.
And that's already in August. So when she filed these motions...
There's one that was in...
In fairness, you were already on board.
Your Honor...
Go ahead.
The particular occasion she's referring to, because I knew that she had, limited funds, I offered to go to the courthouse and help her fill out the paperwork.
But you didn't file
on this
it.
particular occasion, I didn't
But you
ask
didn't
for
file
any
anything.
compensation
Sorry.
whatsoever. And
Which I ended up losing my children.
she did not follow through properly. That was that was not through any fault of my own.
And that did not get filed until the day before it was due. And she didn't even file it correctly. I had to type it out and email it to her, and then she just put it in front of the judge but did not file it for a court date. So they didn't even read it or look at it or anything, which ultimately led to him only getting my kids 4 days every other week. And I had them every day.
Where were you sending her, or do you have the itemization of the work done in those for the $275 per hour?
I did send her something like that. Unfortunately, the only thing I have with me at the moment are some invoices that I had sent her for very, very small amounts because I told her I was willing to work with her.
You're saying in your statement that you're owed for 15 hours
Correct.
of legal fees.
Correct.
Where is a rundown of
There
the
isn't one
work for
because she
those
never did it.
15 hours?
I sent her something.
Yeah, but
The only invoices I
do you
have
have
are
a
on our
copy?
deeds
Do you
right
have a
here.
copy?
Your Honor, for some reason, I know I had a copy. I don't have one with me. She knows I did this work.
Your Honor, there was also another incident involving probation where she was supposed to show up for court, and I showed up and she did not, and she called to say she was not coming, and so I left just thinking that it was going to be adjourned, and I ended up getting a warrant out for my arrest, which I'm still trying to deal with right now.
Your Honor.
On top of that, she
I'm not
called you
laughing.
many
This is not a
times.
laughing matter.
No,
This is my
it's
life.
not,
Then
but
why are
that's
you laughing?
fiction. That's pure fiction. It's
Just like you didn't fall asleep
Pure
and
fiction.
you weren't nodding off in court to where my mom had to say something to me.
Are you referring to me?
Yes, I am referring
That
to
never
you.
happened.
Okay.
That's ludicrous.
You're not suing her. You're coming in because you want to be paid.
Absolutely.
And on that issue alone, a lawyer who wants to be paid on an hourly amount has to keep, and you know this, has to keep a record of what you do every hour that you're doing it. And if I don't have that, I can't make a judgment on that because then I'm just guessing at how much you should be paid. And so without that document of how much she should be paid, even if her work was perfect,
Yeah.
I can't make a judgment, and therefore this case is dismissed. Hey YouTube, check out my new show, Judge Jerry. Now for sneak preview and behind the scenes footage, subscribe to my channel now.